Mike. Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1665 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open. An award-winning podcast from Moneris, hosted by FOTM El Grego. Silverwax.ca. Use promo code TorontoMike10 at checkout and save 10%. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management Inc. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd, it's Chef Jordan Wagman.
Woo!
Welcome back, Chef.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Do you find that since people started watching The Bear on, where is that on? Disney Plus, that people now, more people, like the regular people are calling you Chef? Like a lot of people learned, oh, this is the formal way you're supposed to address someone as Chef?
It's more yes, Chef. Yes, Chef.
Okay, because
yes,
of The Bear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the number one question that I get asked. Do you watch The Bear?
Okay, well, stop stealing my thunder, Chef. Do you watch The Bear?
So, here's the thing. I couldn't get through season 3. It's too much PTSD for me.
So it's too realistic.
There are some realistic components. I know that, I've heard some people push back on it, but yeah, there's some realism to it for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
PTSD, like as if you were in the bunker or something. Like
it's like, holy shit, I forgot to order carrots. Oh, yeah. It's literally like it's waking up. Brad Long was the executive chef of the Air Canada Centre when we opened it up in '99.
Right.
Mark McEwen was the consulting chef working for Tannenbaum.
Right.
And listen, you didn't want to screw up back then. And that was literally what the middle of the night was. Holy shit, I forgot to order carrots.
Oh, I'm just wild to hear you share this, because I just read on this radio board that radio, and I've never worked in radio. I know you're like, Mike, you sound amazing in these headphones. How is it you never worked in radio? Well, I never worked in radio, Chef. But radio people, like people who are on the radio, they have a recurring dream, like a nightmare, that they're locked out of the studio. I guess they go to a bathroom break and they're locked out and they can't get in to change up the music and stuff. Like this is like a common dream, like sort of like how as a student you have that dream that there's multiple dreams, but one is that you forgot to take yourself out of a class or something and the exam's coming up and you're ill prepared because you didn't attend any of the classes. Like I remember I had that one for years, but it sounds like The Bear, it just reminds you of these traumatic experiences as a chef.
All joking aside, from the research to the pressure, yeah, no question, absolutely. And again, like for me, I'm a feeler. Like at the best of times, I'll cry at long distance commercials, right?
You cried in your last appearance on Toronto Mic'd. I'm hoping for some more tears today.
Things happen that way, Mike. Yes.
I'm going to remind people of your first appearance in a moment. I'll do it right now. Why would I wait to do this? But you haven't been here since June 2022.
Wow.
That's like 2.5 years ago. I don't know what that is.
Long time. It's a divorce. It's a divorce away.
Well, let's do. Listen to me. Some people think this basement's just where your divorce guys come and hang out. Okay, I'm a divorce guy, and it sounds like you've got an update. So I'll read the description I wrote. Then I want to catch up with you, and I'm really happy to see you, man. It's been a while. We're gonna catch up with you, and we're gonna tell the world, tell the listenership that you've dropped a new book. Do you drop books? I feel like that you drop episodes.
I'll drop it. Sure, let's drop it.
You released a book called Will, W-I-L-L, How I Found My Health Through Food. So in this order, pretty much we're gonna catch up, see what's new with you. I'm gonna pester you with annoying questions, and we're gonna talk about this book that people can buy right now. Will, How I Found My Health Through Food by Chef Jordan Wagman, a great FOTM. Here's what I wrote back in June 2022. In this 1063rd episode of Toronto Mic'd. Chef, that was way back 1063. Wow, okay. Mike chats with Chef Jordan Wagman about his lifelong battle with psoriasis, the removal of gluten, dairy, and refined sugars from his diet, the role of cannabis in his life, his mental health challenges, the kind summer fare, and more. Like, there's a lot of guys. Everybody, go back and listen to episode 1063, and then come back here to get your update. But how have things been for you, Chef, since June 2022?
It's funny because right there, look, that update makes me emotional without question, because it's, so much has changed and yet so much remains the same. Will is when we were recording the book. So this for you.
Thank you. A copy of Will, How I Found My Health Through Food.
You got it.
Look at that.
Little family pictures on the back, look like Polaroids. So even when we
am
were
I in this book, Chef? What page am I mentioned in the book?
No, you're in the Will part 2. You're
Coming
in Will
soon.
part 2.
Oh, yeah, like Hot Shots.
So, that one took me 8 years to really produce. And when we were recording my show that you were the producer of, In the Weeds, and I was working on it then, and
Right.
and it's been an incredible labor of love, but it follows my journey through finding healing through from my psoriasis, and finding a reprieve from my psoriasis, the pain and suffering of my psoriasis, through the removal of gluten, dairy, and refined sugar, and the addition of different cannabinoids and terpenes. So yeah, it's there's about 80 recipes in there, and it's my desserts mainly are vegan, and there's a number of recipes that give you the instruction on how to infuse with cannabis. And
I like the title of chapter 16. It
that?
reads, Coming Out of the Cannabis Closet.
That's right. Yeah. Well, when it became legal, excuse me, I have 2 children. So when it became legal in Canada, I came out of the cannabis closet, and I was, and then I was beating the drum publicly. Privately, my friends, family always knew I was a huge pothead. Right? Now it was like, now I'm in the cannabis space. That was, it was so funny. You were a degenerate one moment, and now you're, officially in the business. And no longer, I guess,
seemingly overnight, right? Like the stigma disappeared.
Not even close. Like, I wish it had. Like,
really?
we're not even no.
Cannabis real talk. So people still think you're like lazy?
Not me, but if you ask the average person, is a quote unquote stoner, or does someone who consume cannabis lazy? I think the overwhelming, answer would be yes. But certainly that in that's theory alone. In practice, that's just not true. High-performing athletes use cannabis. I mean, scientists, lawyers, doctors, chefs, all of us.
Right. No, you're preaching to the choir here, but I do know that stigma exists, and it's usually like, I think, I'll blame the older generation. Like they were told, like, it was called dope. Like, it's dope, it's for dopes. And I think there was a huge stigma slapped on it. Like people growing up in the 50s and,
And something you'll remember, and this will resonate with you because I talked about it even a couple of years ago.
Right.
When you, and I'm off to Chicago in 2 weeks, and I am going to cook for the faculty of a culinary school. And I'm introducing a curriculum for culinary and cannabis. And how I introduce every culinary and cannabis experience and or public speaking opportunity is I say this, and it immediately disarms everyone. I say, when you think of cannabis consumption, don't think of Spicoli coming out of the van
Mr.
in Fast
Hand.
Times at
Right.
Richmond High.
Right.
Think of my father, 83 years old, with 2 brain tumors, using cannabis to sleep and to manage his pain. Not all cannabis gets you high. And that is what the differentiator here is that I cook with cannabis. I don't only cook with THC. And THC is what's getting people high.
Right. No, I'm glad you clarified. But yeah, we've come a long way, but there's still a way to go. Sounds like when it comes to a long way to go. Okay, well, you're helping to fight that battle. You and Canada Kev. Shout out to Canada Kev. All right, so you mentioned your kids. So how are your kids doing?
They're great. Jonah is, can't believe it, he's graduating university. He's graduating university, and now he's off to Southeast Asia for a couple months, and now he's coming up north. I live in Muskoka now.
Okay, so these updates, we need to get these updates, okay? Because you mentioned you're divorced now. So when you were here in June 2022,
yes,
you were not divorced.
I was June 2022.
Show me your papers, Chef.
No, I don't think I was separated. I don't even remember at the time. No.
But,
no.
I mean, are you okay?
I'm great. Everything has its cycle. We were together for 30 years, and she's an incredible, incredible mother. And I yes, I'm much happier.
And you were in Toronto, you were living in Toronto.
I was for a long time when I moved back to Canada in 2002 from Colorado Springs.
Right.
We were in Toronto, Bathurst and St. Clair area.
Okay, and now you're in Muskoka.
Port Carling. I live in the heart of Muskoka in Port Carling, and I couldn't be happier.
You know what, man? Is there room in there for me? This sounds amazing to me.
There's room.
Is there room? How is it through the winter? Like, I often think about it. And I mean, I love to kayak. I love to bike. It sounds like a dream in the summer, but I wonder, do I want to be there for the winters? What's it like up there in the winter?
So here's the thing. I've learned a term, and it's not an endearing term
Hibernation?
to someone like me. They call them citizets, or referring to people who come up from the city,
right,
and think that they can now transition immediately to living up north.
Winter Muskoka.
I'm that guy, and I'm like Tripper Jord, right? Like I became a chef because I went on canoe trips, and I'm telling you, it's so damn humbling living up there. Like, just this week alone, there was an ice storm where I saw like 20 centimeters of ice surrounding a small little branch.
Okay, so how are you holding up? Are you adapting? Do you have any, do you wish maybe I'll winter somewhere else?
I was in Costa Rica for a month.
Okay, that helps. Right?
It helped for sure.
Did you see Chris Shepard there? We're looking for him. I think he's in Costa Rica.
I didn't.
You didn't bump into him?
No, I didn't. I didn't. It was lovely getting out of here, but it has been a humbling winter. And full disclosure, I'm renovating a little bit this winter, so I haven't been there this winter. I've been in Toronto at Bathurst and King.
That's how you survive Muskoka in the winter.
But Bathurst and King comes with its challenges too, mind you.
Right. Shout out to Bathurst and King. So you moved. So I'm just I'm not prying too personal here, but so the marriage doesn't work out, and you're not alone. I think most of the listenership has been down that same road. And you guys are friendly today? Like, is it an amicable separation?
For sure. My children are older. As I said, Jonah's graduating university, Jamie's graduating high school, and she's off to Queens where he's graduating from. So, I'm living the life of a dad with adult children, which is lovely.
Yeah, you know what? I could have been living that life too, but I said, no, I got to try this again. I got to say, my oldest gets his convocation is, I think, June 15th.
Oh, really?
So that's the first university graduate of my children.
Wow,
at the same time as yours. So,
congrats.
But my kid's not going to. So where in Asia is your child going?
I think he's going to Thailand. Hey. I know he's going to Japan at the end. So he's going to a number of different places with 3 of his good friends. And I'll tell you the truth. Like, number one, he's not spending $1 of my money. Number 2, not $1 of my money. And number 2, this kid has worked his tuchus off, like his tushy off, and good on him. Like, have at it. Go enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. Because now's the time, right? Like, it's tougher to do it when you're...
100%.
You got the... I was going to say the mortgage. And I realized, what who's ever going to have a mortgage? It's like, home ownership is not attainable for us normies, right, Chef?
No, dude. It's like, it's very humbling, I'll tell you. And then you separate, and that becomes very humbling, right? Where then you're dividing everything in 2, and it's like... maybe I'm not going to live in Toronto. And hey guys, are you cool if I move out of the city? And they were like, see you, Dad, you know, we don't need 2 bedrooms here. And
Well, so that's maybe walk me through that journey. Like, was the original goal you'd pick up a place in Toronto until you realized, oh, I need to be like a multimillionaire to do that?
I always wanted to live out of the city. I really did. I am a country boy at heart. As humbling as it is living up north, like I'm learning and I want to learn. I love it. It puts a smile on my face. But I didn't love living in the city. I'll be honest. I didn't love the traffic. It was hard for me and my both my mental health and my nervous system, I think.
But I feel like, and again, maybe I'm putting some of my own thoughts into you, which is ridiculous. I got to stop doing that. But I feel like you're the kind of guy who you don't need to be traffic. Like, I feel like you would bike if you could bike, or you would, there's other ways to get around this city.
Do you know what's crazy?
Tell me.
Is that you're saying biking. And just on Saturday, I went for acupuncture and I was hit by a car when I was biking. And both these fingers were pointing at 90 degrees. So now I can't even make a fist. And so it's so bad that you can see the bruise there where I had acupuncture and like these electric currents going through me. And it's, you know, riding a bike makes me I know you love the bike.
But I could see what happened to you. It sounded like you had a bad accident and now you're gun shy.
Yeah, I am, without question. I love to be active, you know. Getting old sucks, Mike.
But don't you, again, I'm not trying to transpose my own, because I've been going through, I do a lot of thinking lately on a lot of subjects.
Hit me.
But don't you find you get more fearless as you get older?
I am cautious. I am less fearful of the things that I was fearful of my whole life. I am less fearful of being alone. I am less fearful of being in a room. I'm less fearful of things that really made me scared early on. But yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't know. So speaking just for myself, and I just turned 50 last summer. So I'm just 50 years old right now. And I don't know how to explain it, but I don't care. Like, I don't have any fear. I don't know. Like, I don't have any fear. Like, and I had didn't do what happened to your hand, but I had a pretty bad bike crash in 2020 where my helmet split in two, and then I broke. Trying to remember what. Oh, I broke my wrist. I remember that. Yeah, so I broke my wrist.
I remember that.
I'm trying to remember, what did I break in that one? Because I've had so many crashes. I broke my wrist in that one, and then the CT scan was negative. But then a few years later, they found a blood clot on my brain, which the neurologist just says is too much time between that crash and the blood clot to be related. But I don't know. I can't say. Anyways, I don't know. But he says he doesn't think it's related. But regardless, I have this bad crash, and I do remember I took 6 weeks off biking because I had the cast, and I didn't need to bike so bad. I'm going to bike off a freaking cast. I'm going to let this heal or whatever. And I do remember the first ride out, I felt more tentative. Like, I felt like I was afraid to crash again, and I biked differently. But it lasted like 2 days, and then I was biking like I didn't give a damn. Like, and I even had this chat recently with Mike Richards, who came over, and I was talking about the insurgents, because I do want to talk to you, because I know you're an American citizen, right?
I am.
So you have dual citizenship?
I do.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about that in a minute too. But I have no fear if I'm biking on, let's pick on what street. I'll pick on Dundas. So I'm on Dundas, I'm biking, 25K an hour. Like, 6 inches away from me is an 18-wheeler, right? Like, I think about my kids doing that, and I feel like sick to my stomach. Like, I can't afford to have you hit a pebble and my sweet daughter's under the wheels of an 18-wheeler. Like, it makes me sick. But I have no fear doing it.
And my fear is more so my children than me.
Right.
But without question, I'm still very cautious. I was the dad who asked their children to put helmets on the toboggan hill. I was that dad. And I blame my brother, for being so cautious because, Adam Wagman is, he's personal injury lawyer and very well done, and he's very good at his job and he's very well known and he's very cautious and he's seen that stuff happen, how one decision impacts the rest of your life. So that impacted how cautious I was with both my children and how I think I became. you know?
So I relate completely to the kids thing. Like I've taught my kids how to bike super, like it's all about survival and being safe, and the way I have them bike is different than the way I bike. That's for damn
For
sure.
sure.
And I mean, it's actually a law that if you're under 16, I think it's 16, that you're supposed to wear a helmet. But they know that, like, daddy always wears a helmet, and I don't care if my son's 23 now, like he's wearing a helmet if he goes on a bike ride. It's like it's like wearing a seatbelt. Like you're gonna put that on or whatever.
Yep.
So I agree with you on that front. But when it comes to me, and this will come up maybe a bit later when we talk about your feelings as a dual citizen in some what's happening right now. But I was thinking, like, if things go south in a hurry, like, would I be part of the insurgency? Like, would I be a part of this the rebel? What's Charlie Angus calling it? The resistance. Like, would I be prepared to fight? Like, I'm having these thoughts now, and I'm like, I'm 50, but I feel good. I feel healthy. Like, I feel as healthy as I've ever felt. I'm setting a record. Here's not a humble brag. It's a pure brag. Okay, Chef. But this March, so for the listeners, you're hearing this episode in early April, but it's recorded the last day of March. So I was just looking at my stats because I use Strava for my bike rides, and I say, as I speak to you right now, I'm sitting at 991 kilometers for March. And it's
For March,
just for March, yeah, 2025. Wow. And I realized, can I measure all this crap? Because that's how I'm wired. I gotta measure all this crap. And I realized I've never had 1,000 kilometer month of March. I've had an April, a May, a June, July, I can go on. But this is actually a personal best for the month of March. I realized, I still have to pick up my daughter later after this recording. I'm going to hit 1,000 kilometers in March 2025, and it's a personal best. So this is a long-winded way of telling you, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel very good, and if I know my kids are safe, and I know people I love are safe, somewhere safe, I'm ready to fight. Like, I'm ready to fight, and I'm fearless.
Because you do look amazing. No, truly, you do. Has your diet changed at all?
No. But I'll tell you right now, just a quick segue, I will be reading How I Found My Health Through Food, and I may be making changes to that diet so I can be totally ready to fight. We might need some Canadians to get ready to fight. Who knows what's going on here? We'll get to that in a minute here. But I'm glad to hear your kids are good, and the divorce.
Great. Yes.
Was it tough going through it? Like,
yes.
It sucks, right?
Yeah. Look,
30 years is a long time too.
It's not a divorce at that point. It's like your whole life has separated, right? And my children, we built a beautiful home, Tamara and I, a gorgeous home. We had renovated it, and we were in it for a very long time, and that's big change for your kids. And so, that was hard for sure. And as a father, it's hard for sure. And then, I can be quite honest and say that the hardest part has been Jonah's away anyways, but my daughter's last 2 years of high school were, formative years for her. And, are we close? Of course. There's not a day that goes by that, we don't speak multiple times. And I, would come in from Muskoka just to drive her to school and pick her up from school, like just for the 15-minute, the opportunity for 15 minutes to watch her on her phone on the drive home. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that was the hardest part, is certainly sacrificing my relationship with my daughter. But as I've said, and I talk about, my mental health and suicide and all of those things. And I lost a friend, Mark Cooper. And, I think these are real thoughts and times, and life is really, really, really hard. And it was hard, and it's still hard, and it's still, just because time has ticked doesn't mean that you don't stop healing, and doesn't mean that you don't stop learning. I'm proud of me. Mm-hmm. I can look at myself in the mirror and be very proud that I'm here today and thriving, and for my children, because there were moments that were really, really freaking dark, No,
I can imagine that. It's horrible. It's your mindset is a short-term pain for long-term gain. Like, you just sort of like, I always compare it to Shawshank, when Andy's got to get through that shit to come out clean on the other side, right?
100%.
And it's gonna stink.
Time and perspective,
But you kind of have to see the big picture, and geez, I might cry with you, Chef. Now that we're reliving this, these divorces or whatnot. But now I got to ask you the obvious, at least from where I'm sitting, is that you just mentioned you've become more comfortable with being alone. So does that mean like you're not dating? Like you're not?
No. It's there's certainly a person that I hope to be with forever. And
That's good.
yes. So no, I'm definitely not lonely. I'm definitely not lonely.
Now I don't know who this person is or their circumstances, but are you 100? Are you for sure in your heart that you're done procreating? Have you got the snip?
Oh, I did many years ago. And regardless, yes, completely done.
Okay, well the snip helps make it so you can't even think
it does.
of your heart.
And the truth is, man, it is maybe selfish, but that's okay. Like I'm okay with it. I'm okay being, 53 years old and saying, I'm living for me. Like
Right.
I've lived for my children. My children are very blessed and fortunate and privileged and all of those things. And so, it's I live for me and making them happy and them thriving makes me happy. But I'm living for me now.
Well, yeah, you're in a good place there, and it sounds like your kids are doing well. And now one's going to Kingston, and one's going to do some traveling, and then
and then he's coming to hang out with me in Muskoka for the summer. Life is good. Life is good, man.
Life is good for Chef Jordan Wagman, which I love to hear here. So again, we did talk about this in episode 1063, but we're going to kind of touch on some greatest hits here. It's been a while here. We're going to refresh some memory here. So can you remind us, greatest hits time? You were diagnosed with psoriasis at a very early age, right?
12 years old. Yeah. I was at my buddy Michael's place. I call it those, what do you call it? Those Corey Hart years. I wear my sunglasses at night.
You know who's in the video?
Who?
Lori Brown from Much Music.
No way.
She plays the woman in the video.
No way.
Song. Yeah. Also, I have I don't want to ruin they'll kick us off Spotify if I play it, but I hear that. I love that song that you're playing there. And here I'm quickly going to my thing, but I wonder if I can play a couple notes of it. But I'm going to play opening riff of that real quick. Okay. And then I'm going to bring it right down. You ready?
I love that.
Yeah, so that's all you're getting today. That's just blame Spotify. But now I want you to listen to the opening riff of a different song, okay?
Is it a Rhythmix? Yes. Before you played it, I called it. I didn't even realize it.
No. And my whole life, I'll hear one and think it's the other. And even though they're not identical, they're really close. And I know Eurythmics comes first. Sorry, Corey. I know you're proud Canadian. But I've always I'll hear it, and I'll start singing the other one.
Wow.
Because they're so similar in my brain.
Never in my life, not once have I made that connection until you just said that.
Well, that's what you're here for, Chef.
I love that.
So, but how did you guess it'd be Eurythmics?
I can.
Let's see, what kind of, you're wearing the glasses.
Gosh, okay. I definitely need glasses. No, but it's, I have a little bit of an ear.
Can you? Yeah. Well, I know this because the opening theme for your podcast was you singing.
Yeah. Yes, I love it.
If you want to break into song, just do it.
Thank you.
But on the glasses front, you said you're 53. So I've only started wearing, these are readers I'm wearing right now because I am having trouble with the screen.
Same with me.
But only since I turned 50.
Same with me.
Okay.
Exactly the same. And I've yet to book an appointment with an eye doctor.
So because I didn't need anything, never wore anything and I turned 50 and I'm like, I don't need anything. And people are like, oh, you need something at 40. I'm like, I'm 50. I don't need to do, I don't know what's wrong with you. I'm superhuman or whatever.
Exactly.
And then they sort of went south very quickly to where I'm like, oh, I need glasses to read my computer, or I can't see a 5 from a 6. I'm like, this is bad news, man. I can't blow up my font. You see those boomers?
Oh, I do.
But then I was talking to my wife. I'm like, I think I'm going blind. She's like, you can see an eye doctor. Like, she's like, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think about these?
I know.
But then, she literally in Mimico, there's this eye doctor, and you can book a schedule online and go in. I actually don't have coverage for this. That's another story. But I'm like, I can afford for my eyes. This is important. But I go in and I'm like, do all the eye test. And then she says to me at the end of this eye test, she goes, I hear you that you didn't start till recently, but she says, your eyes are exactly where they should be for a 50-year-old. You have the typical eyes of not worse than, because I was thinking I'm going blind. Like, I'm like, this is such a rapid decline. I'm going blind. I can't.
I felt the exact same way.
And this eye doctor, we do all the tests and, all the stuff. There's dye in the eye and she's checking everything out. And she's like, you have typical eyes for a 50-year-old person. And I felt like relief. Like, I'm happy to be typical.
I struggle. It's a problem. Like now, if I forget my readers, I'm in trouble. And I'm like, do I need my readers?
Yeah, if you're at a restaurant, you need to see a menu. I had this the other day.
Menu?
Yeah.
How about I need my flashlight and I need the glasses?
Well, here's what, the trick is you take the photo and you blow it up on your computer, on your phone. Speaking of smart, your smartphone. That's
very smart.
That's because I've yet to debut my glasses outside of my home.
Right.
So I gotta, and this, by the way, the best part is, so I do this. My wife, I guess back in Edmonton when she was a student, she worked for an optometry place or whatever. So I get this. She's like, okay, here is, what do you call that? Prescription for glasses. And they have these numbers and codes or whatever. And I flip it to my wife. And then she says, oh, you need 1.5 readers, right? And I'm like,
exactly.
Because I'm like, I don't know why I'm so stupid, Chef. I'm so glad you're here so I can tell you how stupid I am. I'm thinking, okay, it's I don't have any coverage right now, hundreds of dollars or whatever. And then she says,
$3.99 at Shoppers.
Ready for this? She comes home with the readers, which are perfect for what I need. And oh my God, I can see this. It's like, I'm smart again. And I say, oh, what are those cost? She goes, they were $1.25 at Dollarama. $1.25, right? And I'm like, and I'm wearing them now. Okay. So these are $1.25.
I love them.
And then I said to her, could I have a pair for each floor?
Right, exactly.
$1.25 I can see for $1.25.
Welcome to 2025.
Because when I left my corporate job in 2018, I had this magic visa, I call it. It was a credit card for health stuff. And I didn't want to, you can't take it with you. So I'm like, I'm draining this thing before I leave because smart Mike. So I went to an optometrist and I didn't need to wear the glasses, but I'm like, I'm going to buy all the glasses I can get for this money I have on this credit card from this German software company. And so the glasses you end up getting are like sticker price, $799.
Right.
So my brain thinks glasses are $799, and the pair I'm wearing right now is $1.25.
And I think
Canadian.
the difference is like an actual prescription versus obviously the off the shelf for
I
you
asked
and
this
I.
question, so I what's the difference? Yes, these are just readers.
Right.
So this is what I need for reading because I don't get need
Right.
if I'm driving around or I'm walking around, I can see everything fine.
Right.
So, but this prescription I have for the $799 glasses are for. Should I need glasses in the real world?
Right.
A lot of 50-year-old, 53-year-old guys wear glasses.
I know it.
I'm just wearing readers right now. So
I
see
know
where
it.
goes. So there you go. We're in the same boat, Chef. You should come by more often.
I'm
here.
old, dude.
Wait, what brings you to town, by the way? You just visiting the kids? What's going on?
No, I'm here because it's funny. It's a relevant question. I'm here because I'm renovating, but I'm actually out of town quite a bit now. I have some really cool things happening, right? Like I tried to, for a long time, my goal was, obviously continuing my private events, but I wanted to pursue in the cannabis space, what that meant for me. And the truth is, it's very difficult to make a living in the cannabis space as somebody that, it's not that I have competitors. It's not that at all. I have a unique offering. I have a unique skill set, but it's that people don't have the budget for that. And I learned it as I was, obviously doing a lot of things concurrently. And what I realized is that I really needed to go outside of my own, just go outside the box a little bit, go more mainstream. And then this opportunity arose at Dimensions Retreats in Algonquin Highlands. And Dimensions Retreats is, listen, it is, when I say it's a special place, it is a special place. Donald Curry is in charge of all of the programming, and we treat we treat individuals. We do they do wonderful work with the veteran community and the healing and see these metamorphoses, but it's all it's all database. This is all it's medical based. The use of there is use of cannabis for both ceremonial because there are sweat lodges, and there are a lot of it is based on somatic healing, and it's really just from float tank to, as I said, the sweat lodge, to the yurt where there's the yoga, and for me it's like, when I came across this place, it was like this melting pot of like all of my loves, right? So they were looking for something from a food and beverage perspective that met all of what Donald Curry was doing from the programming perspective. Right. And all of the food there is based on this book. All of the food, my signature dishes, and Chef Nazanin Arabani is the chef there. And so she came on basically at the same time as me, almost a year ago now. And so we've been working, and the food it's wonderful to be able to impart this to the world, to different people, but just to see the love that these culinarians have for the food that I'm teaching them, right? Without gluten, without dairy, without refined sugar. That's a complete different skill set for a cook to have when they leave our kitchen, right? Because that doesn't really exist in the quote unquote real world. And then on the flip side, right? So there's, dimensions and
where's Dimensions?
Algonquin Highlands. So there's Stanhope Airport. So right before Hamilton, between Minden and Halliburton. So between Minden and Halliburton, right off of 118 on Maple Lake. Okay. And Dimensions retreats, do you mind if I can give a code to your audience?
Yeah, go nuts.
So if you use the code Chef 25, that's just for Toronto Mike listeners, and you go to the website, and I can happy to provide, but it's just Dimensions Retreats, and when you inquire, use that code Jordan Wagman. Chef Jordan sent you. They will honor it. But it is a remarkable place. So there's all of these cabins. Each individual cabin has like soaker tubs and beautiful walk-in showers and gorgeous beds and shades that are electronic, and it's just honestly, your nervous system just relaxes. We've hosted tons of people.
How long do you got to go for?
From 3 days to 2 nights to we do veteran retreats for 10 days. We're doing we're doing individual, we call elevate retreats for 14 days in the summertime. But if you're up north, your kids are going to camp, or and I don't. To know me is to know. I don't talk about things and products unless I believe in them, and I believe in this. And so the food is phenomenal. The grounds are phenomenal. The team is phenomenal. Donald Curry and what he does with the with the therapeutic side of things and the whole programming side is off the charts.
Okay, and so this is it a summer thing? What is
it's an all year round thing. So we just hosted Unbounded. Unbounded is an amazing community that really focuses on cold plunges. So we have tons of cold plunges.
Those scare me.
I can't do them.
Oh,
physically, I can't do them.
Is that because of the psioriasis? What is that?
No, it's just I do have an allergy called cold urticaria, where I break out into hives from the cold. But I learned through someone at Dimensions, Vanessa was her name, and she was amazing and really said to me, Chef, if all you can do is go out into the snow with bare feet, that's your cold plunge.
Okay, yeah, it's all relative.
It's all relative, right? Work within yourself.
See, I don't mind cold. I mean, I bike in minus 30 degrees of a wind chill or whatever, but that whole idea, and it frightens me. I guess I feel like my heart's going to stop.
It's frightening. It is frightening. Especially so I have, you talk about
Chef.
Dreams. You go into the water and but they've just dug out a square. What happens if you happen to get on that side of the square? It just, lose, you get disoriented. It's just not for me. Right. But there are experts at Dimensions and everywhere, right? And that never happens. It's just me and my silliness.
Right.
But the experts are doing it, and it's apparently brings amazing benefit.
How much time do you got to spend in that that cold water?
Again, I don't know the answers, but I would tend to say like everything that is individual, it's individual.
Right.
You know, if you get the most out of 10 seconds, check, box checked, out.
I went swimming yesterday, and it's a pool in a condominium. So I don't know what that is. It's like 80 degrees or something Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
That's because they have their
Yeah,
temperature in Fahrenheit. But I think I said, oh, to my wife, I'm like, what does it take you to get in the pool? And it's like, that's too cold for her in the pool. She's not doing any cold plunges, I don't think.
Yeah, 80s. I mean, like, give me a 90.
Yeah, but I actually like it. I mean, that's what it is. I don't know. There must be some safety reasons, but I do my 100 lengths, and the, whatever that is at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and I don't find it cold. Like there's an initial, but once you get moving, I'm
Do you
fine.
sauna?
You get used to it. No, but they have a sauna there.
You don't sauna? You don't like it?
I don't know if I have the time. I'm just
It's
gonna
the
say, I
time,
feel like
right?
I got shit to do. Like I like to move.
So I'll tell you, it's changed my life. Saunas every day. Like we have an infrared. She has an infrared, so I'm in her infrared quite often. And
Is that code? No, I'm just-
yeah, infrared sauna.
Right.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I could be a sauna guy. I feel like it's in me. It's more about like, because how much time do you spend in there?
35.
See, I actually
35 minutes.
Stupid. I don't know if I'm good at like sitting for 35 minutes.
But I'm doing emails.
You're doing emails. You're doing shit. Yeah.
You know,
I'm
on my phone the whole time. I've got my readers on.
Right.
They fog up from time to time.
Oh, you know what? You're turning me around in the whole sauna because I do the swim and then the sauna's right there.
Love it,
my mom
dude.
lives in this condo building, and me and my 10-year-old were in it doing our swimming. And I think I could be a sauna guy.
I love it.
This convo is changing.
So
my life
think
here.
my tips and tricks, Chef Jordan's tips and tricks, if you don't mind. Wear sandals.
Okay, I'm writing this down. Where's that? Okay, so much going. So you've been working at this retreat.
Yeah, that's a fractional role. Been teaching the team. It's been awesome.
Okay.
Like, you know what? It's so amazing to see them, post pictures of food that is, my food, but them cooking my food.
Yeah. So the book, which you know, if you guys haven't paused this podcast and ordered a copy, then you're not living life right here. It's called Will: How I Found My Health Through Food by Chef Jordan Wagman, and it's 86 delicious, and I say delicious because I haven't tried them all yet, but I know you're a good chef. So they're delicious, gluten-free, dairy-free, refined, sugar-free recipes. And because we were going to finish that greatest hit, because not everybody has gone back to listen to episode 1063. Another shameful thing. I'm shaking my head at the FOTMs listening. But so I mentioned that at 12 years old, you're diagnosed with psoriasis. How old are you when you realize you can treat it with cannabis and this wholesale dietary change?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking decades went by, right? I was 12 years old. I smoked joints every day of my life. I thought I was a degenerate because I, love the Grateful Dead and, I had long hair, and that was just what I was destined to be and do. And I realized very quickly that when my psoriasis hurt, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and at a very early age, and I'd smoke a joint and went back to bed. And it's still today, I employ that. I wrote every high school exam in the hospital, spent a year and a half of my life living in a tent at the Dead Sea. Every day I'd wake up, tanning naked with the Danes for, 14 hours a day, whatever it is, and healed my psoriasis. But every time I found something that would quote unquote heal my psoriasis, it would come back with immediacy, like in short order, whatever that looked like, whether it was us getting off the plane or it was just, within weeks of returning to Toronto or getting out of a hospital. And I got tired of it and was like, I guess it's going on 11 years, which is insane to me. But like, a decade ago, I sought the help of this naturopath, and I removed the gluten, dairy, refined sugar, and that was it was literally like 30 years later. And so I struggled for 30 years, and then in 60 days, my psoriasis was healed.
And you lost 30 pounds.
It was insane. So, and I never thought I was overweight, Mike.
If you're not one of like a massive person, and losing 30 pounds in 60 days sounds That sounds scary. That's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight for sure. You know, like I look at myself today and I weigh myself. I was just at my folks' place. I weighed myself. It's 194.
And how tall are you?
5'8.5", but I'm a stocky dude, you know, so like
You got muscles.
I mean, I'm stocky, I'm built, but it's, you know, I could easily weigh 185 and be happy. I'd love to, you know, I'd probably be 10 pounds, but, you know, you carry it very differently, you know, when you're packing all of that inflammation, and that's what it is, right? Like it's all of this retention. And when you remove all of those impurities from your diet, it's just amazing how, you know, everything is different from what comes out of your orifices to, you know, how you feel on the daily. You know, what the addiction becomes is being addicted to feeling really good.
So if anybody listening has psoriasis or knows somebody who's, you know,
Or any autoimmune disease.
I guess I'm kind of curious what exactly psoriasis is.
Yeah,
like, I know
it's an autoimmune disease. So it's like Crohn's colitis, you know, there's many, like 1,000,001 autoimmune disease. And so it's basically your body fighting your body. So my body doesn't understand that, you know, it's always in fight mode, basically. So what happened was, you know, I ended up, as a result of, you know, the third dose of the vaccine for
COVID-19.
I ended up, you know, this is like, I guess it's 2 years ago now.
I remember going through this with you.
I was bedridden. Like, you remember we recorded something
I remember this.
It was the worst experience of my life, where I went to sleep on a Friday. I got the injection on a Friday. I woke up Monday morning with a fever, and every single, and I don't know how to, and I'm fairly good at articulating, but unless you see it, it's very difficult to imagine that everything is swollen. You're crusty, like your feet blow up, your hands blow up, your lips blow up, everything blew up. And my psoriasis came back. And I had no choice but to go on a biologic, go on an injection that literally in 4 days after taking the injection, and subsequently 2 years later, zero, knock on wood, zero side effects, and my psoriasis has been gone. And what it does is, and that's the difference between, and if I can speak to, like, you know, I've always preached Eastern medicine, and, you know, and try to, you know, but I think what's important is that we balance both Eastern and Western. And when Eastern medicine, like, you know, changing your diet and, you know, acupuncture, which I employ now, or massage, or whatever it is you employ, you know, frequency and meditation, when all things fail and you have to employ Western medicine, well, guess what? That's what it's there for. And so it saved my life. I'll tell you the honest to God truth. It saved my life.
So for the last couple of years, you've been clean and clear?
Completely clear. No psoriasis, very little, you know, to deal with, you know, just bad attitude mostly. You know, my
Shocking.
eating habits is, you know, they just never change.
Well,
It's just-
so you're still strictly gluten-free, dairy-free, and refined sugar-free?
Yeah, listen, I had a loaf of sourdough, you know, in the last couple days, right? Like I had a loaf, literally.
But is that gluten-free?
It is. No, it's not gluten-free.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's good sourdough that I know who the bakers are.
Sounds delicious.
And so, excuse me, it's all about moderation, balance, finding your balance, right?
Okay, and I do love the fact that this book you've gifted me has some great recipes, some how-to. It's like a how-to guide for living your best life through eating and living well.
Amen. And you know, and you know what's funny, Mike, is that, like, and I'll plug this, you know, just to tell you what's going on. But like, I'm opening up a restaurant.
Where?
For a couple, Eli and Tanya, who are from Toronto, and it's called The Moose on Round Lake at 3735 Round Lake Road, just between Pembroke and Killaloe.
Pembroke, by the way, is Hockey Town, Canada.
Oh, dude, it's, you know, it's awesome. I got to say, I love Northern Ontario, but I love that area. A lot of native indigenous land, right? A lot of indigenous land up there. But so I guess my point is like, we're opening up this restaurant in May 24. Okay. That's the plan.
It's coming up.
And so I said to Eli today that, what's unique about our restaurant is we aren't cooking with butter. We aren't cooking with dairy. Like we are cooking with dairy. We're not cooking with cream or milk. So why that's important from a restaurant standpoint is your costs are lower, but it just very easily, because that's the world I live in, because that's the sandbox, you can be so much more inclusive, where you can list all these dairy-free items. They may not be gluten-free. Many are gluten-free, but they are all dairy-free. So when you can start reaching people and making those small little changes in the kitchen and at home, you start to build towards those wholesale changes like being gluten, dairy, and refined sugar-free.
You're a busy guy. You got lots going on.
I love it.
Is your podcast on permanent hiatus? What's going on there?
So it's funny you say that. Obviously, I've been giving thought as I was coming in here. No, I really...
Weeds, by the way, it's still archived on Apple and Spotify and everywhere you get your podcast.
I'd like to bring it back. I would like to bring it back. I have a lot to say.
Talk about.
I do.
I'm hearing it now in the headphones. Okay, well, I'm here when you're ready. I'm just letting people know they can subscribe. And when there's a new episode, you'll get notified. So In the Weeds with Chef Jordan Wagman, you can hear Chef sing.
Can I say this to you, Mike? I'm so proud is the wrong word, but as your friend, I'm proud to be your friend. But you are a good man, and I woke up, I saw you on CNN, and it was very impressive. You were awesome.
Thank you. Can I ask, did you see it on YouTube? Or did you see it on CNN?
No, I saw it on CNN.
See, it blows, I don't know why, it blows my mind. I've been hearing from people who are saying, Stu Stone was telling me this when he was here the other day. I saw you on CNN, and in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, you mean you saw the YouTube?
No.
CNN uploads their YouTube, and it gets shared all over virally, but you saw me on CNN.
I saw you on CNN.
That's mind-blowing that you're saying that sentence to me right now. Okay.
I was proud of you as an American.
Thanks, man. Okay, well, we're going there next. Yeah. So you got gluten. So, you had the sourdough bread, but I mean, all my gifts are mainly full of gluten, to be honest, but here's something with no gluten in it, okay? It's also dairy-free, and there's no sugar in this either. And you might have got one last time you were here, but you are receiving a wireless speaker from Moneris. Did you get one last time?
I did not.
Oh my goodness. Chef Jordan Wagman, it's a quality speaker, and you're going to listen to season 8 of Yes, We Are Open, which is a podcast hosted by Al Grego. He's a cuddly FOTM himself. And this time he went to Saskatchewan. I believe he went to Regina. And I'll have some more, throughout the next couple of months, we're going to be talking about episodes as they drop. But subscribe to Yes, We Are Open from Moneris. And season 8 is dropping now. Al went to Saskatchewan.
Love it.
Land of my first wife is from Saskatchewan.
I've never been.
I've never been either. Well, she never, in our marriage, which was 15, we didn't get to your big number, but 15 years of marriage, during that 15 years, she never stepped foot in her home province of Saskatchewan.
Wow.
I know. I guess everyone she cared about had left.
Right. Okay.
And she didn't ever feel drawn back. And I know. I'm now married to a woman from Alberta, and she goes there every year. Like she goes.
I think the beef is better.
In Alberta? Well, yeah. I hear that Katie Lang disagrees, but that's okay. So so that's right. I want to clarify something and then shout out another sponsor. But whenever I introduce you, I didn't do it today, but I always talk about Chef Jordan Wagman. He's a James Beard nominated chef. He's also an author, a media personality, and then I talk about how you found your health through food and cannabis consumption. But this James Beard, I say it like you won a damn Oscar, okay? Come on, man. He's a James Beard nominated chef, but I have no idea what I'm talking about. Can you just tell me finally, I finally have the courage to ask you, what the hell does that mean you're a James Beard nominated chef?
The truth is, like, at 53, it means a lot less. Back then, and, Michelin and James Beard meant, I think, a lot more, many years ago than they do now. Feels like everyone is, not everyone, but a lot of people
still talk about Michelin 5-star restaurants or whatever.
Well, we do, but there's a lot of Michelin mentions, and now they're in Toronto, and it just, there's a lot of places that have a Michelin mention, and I don't diminish them. Many most are amazing. James Beard was a TV personality, very close with with Julia Childs.
Of course.
And he had a place in Greenwich Village, which his house, I believe, which converted into basically, which became upon his passing, which is, I mean, I cooked there in 2002. So that's, 2 decades ago. And it's, so it's 30 years, I'm going to guess, where they would welcome a lot of the top culinarians from across Canada or across the US and the globe in for an evening to cook. And it was a showcase of, just an opportunity for people who subscribe for tickets for the Beard House to come and enjoy different, food experiences. The federation, or the James Beard Federation, became this, sort of like almost like Michelin, de facto Michelin, where Michelin was about the restaurant, James Beard was about the chefs.
Okay.
And so I was cooking in Colorado at the time at the place called the Cliff House at Pikes Peak. And you receive a James Beard nomination because a writer or writers write into the foundation and say, we nominate this chef for, and I was nominated for the top 10 up and coming chefs in North America. It was a long time ago. It's 2002.
Wow.
Well, it's 2025, so it doesn't mean a whole lot. What it did is open up every door I ever knocked on. And then either you swam or you sank, you either shredded and were successful, or you failed miserably. And thankfully it just opened up doors and I was able to knock them down.
Who won that James Beard Award that you were nominated for?
To be honest, I've never been asked that question. I don't know the answer.
Because I'm going to hunt them down and I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to kick them in the shins.
The nomination is so like it's just as good. It's just as good. Every time
it stands out in the bio, right? It's all about getting the attention. You said doors open.
And you mentioned Academy Award. That is what Academy Awards are in culinary, is a James Beard nomination, a James Beard Award. Those are the equivalent of Academy
So this is like your
Awards.
Oscar nom.
For sure, without question.
If you were an actor, you would just, your first line of your bio
and then you
would be
phased
Oscar
out into
nominated.
nothingness, Mike.
It was all downhill there. That was in the early 2000s. It's been all downhill since then. But now here you are now, back on Toronto Mike for a second appearance here. All right, I'm going to thank Nick Ienes, because Nick Ienes stepped up to sponsor this find. I love it when people put up their hand and say, how can I help fuel the real talk? That's the best. That's the best, chef. So Mike at TorontoMike.com for the next Nick Ienes out there. But Nick Ienes has a great podcast called Building Toronto's Skyline, and he's actually launching another podcast called Building Success. And they're both great. My voice is on both, so of course it's a wonderful program. You know that. Come on. I was on CNN, for goodness sakes.
Exactly.
I need a bio, which I don't have, because I don't have any PR or anything. I needed the first line to say CNN correspondent, Toronto Mike.
For sure. As seen on CNN, Toronto Mike.
You know what? I need to, even like the SEO of my web pages and stuff at TorontoMike.com. I just realized I'm not shouting this from the rafters loud enough. Like, you're James Beard nominated chef, and that was 20 something years ago.
And now, as seen on CNN, Toronto Mike.
It's pretty good. You get a good pipes on you, but I'm thinking now, too bad James Earl Jones passed away. Right. I need him to say it.
What a legend.
This is CNN featuring Toronto Mike. I can't even imitate it. It's so freaking amazing.
This is CNN.
Although I'm almost certain he signed away the rights to mimic his voice via AI, I believe, to Disney. So I believe James Earl Jones, his voice will be heard in future Star Wars.
I was just going to say Star Wars, really.
That's Disney owns the Star Wars.
Right.
I believe he signed away that you will hear James Earl Jones AI version, like that's been he was compensated.
Are you an Avengers fan?
I watched the Avengers.
Yeah. It's been tough to be a fan. Like, I love them. But
you mean the Marvel universe?
Yeah.
Avengers. Okay, so yeah.
Marvel.
It's funny you mention that. There's a lot going on, and they're all connected to different things. Like, it's a full-time job to keep track of everything going on.
I was trying this weekend.
Marvel MCU, the Marvel comic universe or whatever. Yeah. I kind of tapped out. I think the last one I saw was the final Avengers movie.
Yeah.
But you're still keeping on.
Yeah, I mean, Doomsday started to, like, now they've got what's-his-face coming back, who is Iron Man, who we all love.
Of course, Stark, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. Well, I've lost touch, but you'd think one of my kids would bring me back in, because I got the 9-year-old and the almost 11-year-old, but they haven't really brought me into the MCU, so they're off doing. You know what's big now? It's God, don't screw up the name of this. One Piece. It's a anime out of Japan. So I don't know when it started, but there's like 1,000 episodes.
Right. Right.
And my 10-year-old who's turning 11 very soon. He's like obsessed with One Piece, and like
Where'd they get into that?
I think he's watching that on like Netflix or something.
Right.
I think so I feel like there was anime when we were growing up, but we didn't have access to it. Like it wasn't easy to get. Like we weren't going to get bootleg VHS cassettes.
I remember it like on the off channel on like, Sunday at 2 a.m. sort of thing.
Or like it would be like not Battlestar. Like what's the one? There's one. There's a show I used to watch. It got Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets.
In Battle of the Planets, I don't know if that's anime, but it was like a Japanese cartoon that was dubbed into English. Like you had a bunch of these going around, but I don't know if that's the same thing. But yeah, so my kid's into One Piece, not the MCU. But okay, I'm going to thank recyclemyelectronics.ca, because if you have old cables, old electronics, old devices, don't throw it in the garbage. The chemicals end up in our landfill. Go to recyclemyelectronics.ca. Put in your postal code, and then you'll get you'll find a place near you. You can drop that off to be properly recycled. And last but not least, Chef, I want to invite you. I know you might be in Muskoka, or maybe you'll be in Algonquin there. You might be far away. But June 26, 2025, from 6 to 9 p.m., we're having a TMLX event at Great Lakes Brewery. It's TMLX 18. It is at 30 Queen Elizabeth Boulevard in South Etobicoke. Free event. You get your first drink on the house from Great Lakes Brewery, and you get fed by Palma Pasta. Everybody should just come out and say hello to CNN Mike. That's my new name.
As seen on CNN.
This is CNN Mike.
That's right.
I'm going to start every episode like that. Okay.
That's right.
So walk us through it. You're born in Canada. You're born here. Toronto?
Toronto.
Okay. And you talked about like living in Colorado Springs or whatever.
Yep.
So how do you get your American citizenship, and when do you get it?
My mother is Go Orange from Syracuse, New York. So she met my father on a blind date and moved to Toronto, and the rest, as they say. So my brother lives in Brooklyn. My sister is here. My other brother is here. And I come and go. So I'm off to Chicago. I live in Canada, but I do a lot of work in the US. So yeah, I'm able to come and go.
Like we said, you're a dual citizen. So
yes, I am. I am.
Keep you out.
Yeah, exactly.
But what are that's interesting perspective. What are your thoughts on what's happening now in this world? And again, I always think this could change in half an hour, but as we speak and what we know to be true, what do you think of this, trade war between Canada and U.S., the threats from the USA to annex this country? How are you feeling about all this?
Well, look, I mean, I try to, as they say, stay in your lane and comment on things that I'm knowledgeable about. I can say that, I think there are people in the world who speak often to just hear themselves speak. And I'm not sure there's a lot of thought that goes behind what is said. I think that's for a number of people. It's just so freaking childish. It's like it's like the nana going on. And, it's like the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron feud going on right now. It's just so freaking childish. Just
and
shut
LeBron
the
was
hell
with
up.
his son Bronny at a medical appointment.
It's funny. And it's what's so interesting about that. I'd rather even, talk about that than I would politics or religion. But, it's amazing because what I hear so much about Bronny is it's not so much that he doesn't belong in the NBA. It's that his path to the NBA was just all about nepotism.
Right.
And so that he very well could, if he was in the G League and he was just developing, he could very well develop into a player. And it turns out, and I thought, I don't know if the line was realistic or not, so please nobody, heckle me, but, I think he just got 36 points and like a pretty decent stat line the other night in the G League.
Right.
So it's like, obviously, if you're getting 36 points in the G League, maybe there is something to be said, and you have that pedigree. Maybe there is something to be said that you belong as a person who's going to develop into an NBA player who comes off the bench 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th one day. You know what I mean?
The question is, if his name is Bronny Smith,
Right.
Does he get
100%.
drafted in the NBA?
Well, no is the answer, and there's many undrafted. No, potentially, or
I think it's a clear no.
Or somebody might say, listen, like, you have this pedigree, and if we're picking last in the draft or whatever that looks like, and we're going to take a flyer, maybe we take a flyer here. The flip side is, why draft somebody when you can just go pluck him as a free agent and pay very little for him? And
you know, it kind of reminds. I feel like this. Maybe I'm misremembering now because it's off the lid here. But Scott Niedermayer, who was a Hall of Fame defenseman, there was. I think it was Anaheim. I can't remember this detail.
With Rob?
Yes, there was like a pretty wonderful deal offered to Rob. And it was always at the time, it was pretty clear it was to make Scott happy. Right. So there's like ways around, because there's a salary cap, right?
For sure.
So Scott gets the max, but there's extra money coming to his brother to keep him happy. And this, obviously, I think it's clear that this drafting by the Lakers is because his father is the franchise. You
know, what's interesting is that I going into this year when Nylander's brother came up,
Alex.
When Alex came up, I thought Alex, I wasn't sure what the deal was and what the look was going to be, but I was actually impressed with how quickly he left. With how quickly they rectified that, or it just
he's on
got
the
them
Marlies.
Right. But maybe that's where he right. So belongs, or is best suited at this point.
But what I'm impressed by is how you were able to pivot from Trump talk to LeBron James.
Thank you.
Like, honestly, it was aces.
Thank you.
So I'm not here to get you in trouble, but I do find it interesting. You think that's political, because to me, politics is, if we were having a chat now about who do you want to be prime minister of this country, and we were talking about Carney versus Polyev, right? Now we're going to have a talk about politics, but discussing whether Canada is a sovereign nation and whether America should make any threats at all to their allies.
It's so ridiculous. It's lunacy.
But it's not politics.
But I go back to, I just think people say things that are without a lot of thought. Like, really, that's what you want to put out into the universe? And the truth is, because it's just another media cycle. It is kind of crazy when it comes to politics. I think change rules, and I think change rules for a lot of people. I think sometimes things are stagnant and need to be shaken up a little bit. I can honestly tell you, as a person who is relatively, newly single, not single, but divorced, whatever that is, as a single parent, it's humbling living in this country as on one income. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's freaking humbling. So, it would be nice if there was, a little bit of relief, shall I say. But yeah, it's, I'm voting for change.
Okay, so you got political, but you don't want. I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but do you want Canada to remain a sovereign independent
state? Of course,
100%. I just got to make sure, because I don't know if I want to produce a podcast.
No, we're not interested in being anyone's 51st state.
This is another pet peeve I have, where people are talking about 51st state when we all know he's saying 51st state, but he means you'll be like Puerto Rico.
Right.
You're not going to be the 51st state.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a chance.
Yeah,
all these lefties up here, forget about it. Yeah. Chef Jordan Wagman, the new book that everybody should get their mitts on, is called Will: How I Found My Health Through Food. And you got to come by every couple of years and update us on your life.
I appreciate you very much, dude. And I'm very grateful for your friendship. And truly, this book is it's the greatest piece of work I've ever done in my life. I couldn't be more proud of it. So it's available everywhere on Amazon.
That's CNN Dude to you.
CNN Dude. Now on CNN.
And that brings us to the end of our 1665th show. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible, for helping to fuel the real talk. That is Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Moneris, Silver Wax, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Building Toronto Skyline, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all Monday when Glenn Milcham from Blue Rodeo makes his Toronto Mike debut live in the basement.